So Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
We've been talking
pleasure.
about doing this for a while, and our relationship's been growing with you as a company, personally as a friend, and just really wanted to get you here to the studio. This podcast is quite new, and when Sam and I sat down and talked about people that we would want on here, you were like top of the list. So
Slim pickings.
So,
I thought you guys knew people.
Shh, it's all nice.
I think it'd be really good as well for us to capture how we know each other as well.
Yeah,
because the story's a bit bigger than just football. Yeah,
just to cover that whole story. So I guess we can start with that really. Okay. So obviously, 11 years ago, ish.
Just probably more because the kids are 11 now.
We both went to. It took us a while to join the dots up because we're not particularly intelligent men.
You mean our wives connect the dots?
Yeah. Exactly.
So we met about 3 years ago at a party, a kids' party. Our kids were at a mutual friend's party. We got like a house party.
Our kids were there too.
Yeah, our kids were definitely there. But I remember I met this guy called Ross, really cool guy. Chatted away to him. Yeah, nice guy. And we met again at another party. Like, hey, funny seeing you again. And we were like, it's weird. We know each other, don't we? I don't think so. Thought nothing of it. And then you rocked up at training, which we'll go into in a bit. You kind of turned me 2 kids. I was like, good to see you again. Nice to see you, blah, blah. And then I think it was Esther, your wife, who said, Adam and Catherine, that rings a bell. Yeah. And then one evening I got a message from you saying, hi, Adam, can I have a picture of you and your wife, please? I was like, random. We don't know each other a couple of weeks. Yeah. Sent a picture, and then you wrote back saying, so Esther knows who you are. We were on the same NCT group together. Yeah. 11 and a half, 12 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy.
What joined the dots? I was sat in bed with Esther. I was like, I remember Adam from this party, but I know him from somewhere else. And then we were using, obviously, with the football team, which we'll talk about, we used the Spons app, which lots of sports teams use actually. And what made Esther, what triggered it was on the app you got all the names of the boys in the football team, and she saw Bo, which is obviously
my eldest.
Not an uncommon, but not a particularly common name either in this country. And she remembered Catherine before at NCT saying you were thinking of the name Bo. So that's actually what got her there. Okay. So it was Bo's name.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting because that tells me that I wasn't allowed to tell anybody the name, but Catherine was obviously telling people. I'll have a chat with them when I get home.
You're in trouble with that.
Let's not send this to Catherine. No, that's right. It's a small world, and I think we chatted about this before, but I think it's a small world and stars aligned, and we've got back into connection again, and here we are, 12 years later doing this.
So just to set the scene for people watching, Adam works in, he's done stuff in sales and marketing. He's got a history in, I was about to say football, but sports in general. Great tennis player. It'd be great just to know, for people who don't know you, just tell us more about yourself, really, your family, your history, and your background in sports and coaching and that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a job interview, but I do my best.
Where did it begin,
Football began for me. 4 years old. I actually started out as a goalkeeper, which I don't think I've ever told Jose that. I started out as a goalkeeper, 4 or 5 years old. I was the kid that wasn't scared to come diving at big kids' feet. I was obviously, as you can imagine, you can't see me sat down, but I'm only 5'6" and a fart, but I was very, very small when I was a kid. But I was a crazy kid that would go in goal. So I started off in goal, and I think I did that for about 3-4 years. And then what happened is I was getting lobbed quite a lot. Moved me out to pitch, and I probably played left wing for most of my footballing career. I'm a winger. Giggs was my favourite player growing up, and I kind of emulated his game. Really good both feet, left-footed all the time. Would run past people, would jump for headers, get stuck in the tackles. So I did quite well. I mean, I used to win School of Excellences. I lived in a town called Farnborough, and I won that 3 years in a row for most skillful player. I went to a Chelsea School of Excellence, got Player of the Week for that. I got a trophy cabinet at home full of football trophies. But I did athletics at school. I did basketball. I did cricket, I did football, I did rugby. Again, I was the kid that would tackle people. I played number 9, and I would tackle the big kids until they got really big.
All number 9s are a bit mental.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I'm going to play something else. So yeah, I played number 9. Obviously, you get to kick the ball, don't you? But yeah, so I've always been in sport. I did triple jump, did 1500 meters. I love sport. All through school, it was kind of my thing. And as I get older, you get kids, you get a bit less time to do it. But it's always been part of my life. I mean, as an adult, I play tennis now. as you mentioned, about 5 years ago, hung up my boots because I was coming home on a Sunday to see the wife, usually limping or with some kind of injury, wasting a day, and then missing out on family, and then obviously I can deal with injuries. The catalyst for that was we had a holiday to Centre Parks. And I said, she said, "Oh, don't play the day before, babe. We've got a big holiday." "No, it'll be fine. Broke my foot.
Oh, mate.
A horrible tackle, and I had to limp around Centre Parks. And that I told you so was kind of the catalyst for me to go, maybe I should think about something else. Found tennis, and I love it. I play tennis now. My boys do it as well. So sport's always been a huge part of my life, and I absolutely love it. As a teenager, I used to coach sort of under 8s, under 9s. Being only 12, 13 myself, I'd volunteer after school at some of the local schools that wasn't my school. I'd go and deliver coaching. So I've always enjoyed coaching. I quite enjoy teaching people how to improve themselves, whether it's sport or whatever. So that's kind of feeds into my work life. I've spent most of my career in youth work, welfare to work, work-based learning, a little bit of teaching and training, helping people who don't necessarily have the skills or the experience to overcome the hurdles it takes to get into work. My job was to remove those barriers for quite a long time, work with partners. A lot of it was partnership, work with employers. So I've always done partnership kind of business development roles with people. I love people. And just recently I took a bit of time out because, as I said, I've done it for a long time. I did everything I possibly could in the industry, got a little bit family orientated. There wasn't spending enough time at home. A bit disorientated maybe with the sector, and I need something else. So I'm working for a tech company at the moment, selling tech, and people who do listen to this podcast who know me think, how do you get a job in tech? I'm so such a technophobe, but it's a job that gives me a lot of time back, and that's really important. We mentioned that before the podcast. Time is time or money people want or have, one or the other, and I think for me it's about having time to focus on the kids, the football team. I don't think I could have done the football role without having this kind of flexibility. So I'm at a stage now where I'm not sure what I want to do, where I want to go, but I'm enjoying it, enjoying the time back. So that's me. And
back, and we'll talk about whatever happens next as well.
We could talk about that. Yeah. You said family. So I'm married. My wife Catherine. I've got 2 boys. Bo, who plays for the team. My other son Austin, who probably is more associated with tennis, but he comes along on a Saturday. You've seen him. He helps me coach. He loves helping out with the cones. He's a really good kid.
Everyone loves Austin.
Yeah, everyone loves him. He's like a little happiness coach. He does. I describe my son as the most kidnappable kid in the world because he just loves everybody. Everybody's his friend, which is a beautiful thing, but you have to kind of keep him in check. But Bo's been with the team since he was 5.
Nice.
Which we'll come on to. So I've been married for 13 years. Hope she's not listening. 13 years this year. Been together since I was 19. Moved to Portsmouth from Farnborough, where I'm originally from. To be with a girlfriend who's now the wife and kids. So that's kind of the overview of me, and you can edit that out to make that look really cool.
That's great.
So from my end, I haven't known you for 11 years. In fact, we met like 11 minutes ago. But I'd love to know, and please forgive me to kind of step backwards a little bit. But prior to that 11 years, having first kid on the way, and you talked about kind of playing football, Chelsea Academy, was it?
School of Excellence.
School of Excellence, yeah.
I never spoke to my parents about why I never went any further, but maybe that's a job for me to talk to my parents about.
But I think we all know, and maybe we'll get into this as well. So I think all 3 of us have a background in sports in some way, shape, or form. But I also know that a lot of people play, but not a lot of people are cut out to coach and to lead and to develop. But how did you transition from player to coach or manager and someone who puts together teams and supports teams?
I think it probably stems from natural leadership. I'm always been somebody whether I was a kid or a teenager or young adult, I'd always take the lead on stuff. I'd always volunteer to do stuff. I'm quite outgoing, quite social. I've always been good with people. And I've been quite lucky that I've had some really good coaches in my life from a young age, whether it's been these School of Excellence coaches or PE teachers at school. People have really kind of inspired me to show that teaching and training isn't that difficult if you're a good person, good with people, and if you believe in what you're doing. I've had some fantastic PE teachers actually that really focused on the class as people rather than sport, and that's kind of how I try and treat people in general. And bear in mind, my work life has probably been around people with lots of barriers, lots of extra needs. So I've always had that kind of capacity to do that. Patience maybe is probably a key one. But I think it's a natural step. I think you've got to have passion to do something, especially if you're going to volunteer it. As sports players, you guys know you give up a lot of your time. Your parents give up a lot of their time. You probably sacrifice a lot of time with your friends. So I've always kind of had that in me that I've always wanted to focus on team sports.
Yeah.
Tennis isn't so much a team sport really, but I do play for the squad team, so there's an element of helping others. So I don't know. I think it's just my natural. I would say it's my natural personality to try and help people. So helping people. I love sport. It's not very difficult for those two things to come together.
And like you say, tennis isn't necessarily a team sport, but as someone who also used to love playing tennis a lot,
cool.
I found I'd get so much closer to my mates playing tennis than I would a team sport, because you got the kind of banter across the net, and you get to just have a good time with people.
It's a personable game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a social environment, tennis. Anyway, I mean, I suppose all sports are to a capacity, but tennis is one of those, because I play for a play at, whatever the terminology is, a members only club. Different age groups, different sex, different abilities, all different people from different backgrounds, all in the same place doing one thing they love. And that's kind of go back to your question with the team, is all those kids and parents that are there because they love football.
Sure.
They love being part of a team. They love, I don't know, parents probably love getting them out of the house for a couple of hours a week. Whatever the reason is, they're all there for a reason, and that's takes half the battle away of me as a coach, is that they turn up. I don't make anybody come.
Sure.
They turn up and hopefully they enjoy it. I'm sure they do. They come back every week.
Yeah,
good question. But I mean, going back to you with rugby, did you still get involved in it at all?
No. So I stopped playing rugby in my early 20s. I watch it. We just had the Six Nations, so kind of watching that in the World Cups. I don't follow club rugby anymore, so it is more internationals each year, like Autumn Internationals or Six Nations. For many years, so I'm past early 20s now, but for many years I've continually thought, do I get back into it? I would like to play. I think now it would be coaching as opposed to playing. Okay. And I think, if I'm honest, there's no excuse other than I always say I haven't got time to do that. But the reality is, someone sitting across from me who's working and is involved in coaching teams and putting teams together. But how do you find the time to do all of that? Because for me, if I'm going to get involved in rugby, I feel like something needs to shift, but maybe it's a mindset shift as opposed to a physical shift.
The best way to answer that question is it kind of fell on me pretty quickly. So
sure.
To give you some context, is also to context how I got into this team. So my good friend Phil has managed the team since the boys were in soccer tots as they started, which is a bunch of sort of 5-year-old kids on a bowling green, all chasing the ball. And I remember going to the coaching session. I used to help out as well. And I can remember you have to repeat the same thing 8 times. Yeah. No, the ball on the left. The ball all the way up to these kids are like almost pre-teens. And
sure.
So I'm not going to go into
as well. Shout out to Phil.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's fair for me to say why Phil stepped down. Those are his reasons. But we're good friends. I've known him a long time. We've known each other since our kids were in nursery school. Yeah. Really good guy. Did it for nearly 6 years. And he came to me. I feel like he came to me on a Friday, and by Saturday morning I was taking the session. It was like, Adam, I've got to give this up. Can you help? I was like, of course I can. I've always wanted to. My wife always said you're going to coach a team when the kids.
Sure.
As soon as I found out I was having kids, I'm probably going to coach something. So it was an easy transition for me. But you're right, it takes up a lot of time. And for somebody who's not very organised, I'm terrible. I'm so unorganised. I'm scatty. I'm all over the show. It's really actually helped me. Amazing. I think doing this volunteer role I've taken that into my work life to be more organised, to be more planned. So it's been really, really good. But you're right. Time. I was trying on the drive here thinking he's probably going to ask me a question of how much time it takes. And actually, it's not just we do an hour on a session on a Tuesday. We do an hour and a half on a Saturday morning, 2 hours on a Sunday for game day. But it's the admin setting up games. Yeah. It's the organising referees. It's the financial stuff. Shout out to Kerry, who's one of the parents who volunteers. She does that for us, which takes a huge weight off my shoulders because my wife will tell you I'm terrible with money. It's the administration. It's the kids' needs. It's the parents' questions. It's the parents' hopes and fears. It's the parents' issues that are raised. I mean, my phone is probably going off for football every day. Yeah. And there's times when my wife's like, Adam, we're trying to go to bed, just do that in the morning.
Sure.
But you kind of get impassioned about it. It becomes it has become part of your life very, very quickly.
More than a full-time job on top of also working a full-time job.
I say to people, it's like having a part-time job that nobody pays me for. But the reward isn't money. The reward is, and we'll come on to that, the reward is, these kids that turn up and enjoy it and have fun and all the things, the nuances that go into that. And that's my reward. There are times when I've had times throughout the season, I'm like, am I the right guy for this? Am I what they need? And actually, the parents have been great. I've had such good feedback. You've been an absolute star. I'm an angel on my shoulder, kind of talking to me, going, you're doing a great job. We're in this together. Don't worry. And we've got to the point now where you look back and you go, oh, God, that was tough. But I'm really excited about where the boys are going now and where we're going as a partnership, because it's been a hard slog. And I think I've got to a really good routine now. The Spond app we use is really good. We've got the WhatsApp groups really good. We've got a sponsorship team that are fantastic. So it's all taken a bit of work like any new job does, but now we're at this point now where I think we're settled. I think we're
nice.
Got it. Foundations are built, and I suppose we're at the end of the season now, ready to get into the summer and enjoy some tournaments and stuff. And that's where I think we're going to see the fruits of our labour.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so busy.
And you're a coach, train coach now as well?
Well, no, I'm officially assistant coach, which is on the FA website, which means I'm a helper. But I love it.
But what's really interesting is Ross is obviously, we're friends. You've kindly sponsored the team, and that we should definitely talk about that, because that came around really spontaneously, and I was really shocked and surprised. And you brought your two boys along, and there was even a conversation about, right, we're going to take Jose because he's the age group, and we need a goalkeeper. That was kind of, and with Sonny, I remember we were having a conversation saying, look, he's young, he's inexperienced, we're really not sure. I think I'm going to rush him too much if he joins. And even though I said to you, I'm only taking one of your kids on at the beginning, you're like, no, it's cool, I get it, I understand. You still threw in the sponsorship, and then it transpired that, I don't know what happened, Sonny, you put something in his Wheatie Bix or something, but Sonny was like really pushing, and we're like, you know what, it's a bit unfair, let's give him a guy, and we'll come on to your boys in a minute. He's flying, he's doing really well. So lots of things happening, but to sponsor a team you just technically just met, and your boys had just joined. But
well, there's a bit of a backstory there, which I'm not sure. Maybe Sam knows the story. I'm not sure. I've told you.
I don't think I do. So I'd love to hear, because I'm new to a lot of the side.
What's really interesting, and I kind of forgot this, but really, sometimes you just think things when you're a child, and then they just become reality.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, like I say. So I don't think I feel like I've told you the story, maybe not, but like yourself. But when it's just a random thing that I remembered recently. But when I was a teenager, my dad owned a seaside cafe. He still owns a seaside cafe in Lyon-Solent. And I used to work there on the Saturdays, like a Saturday job, cooking bacon and serving coffees and stuff. And on the counter, on top of the cake stands, there was a little picture framed of a football team of a team that my dad's sponsored. I don't think he had a particular strong connection to them, but I think they came to him and said, we're looking for a sponsor. And so there was a picture, and I remember having this really random thought, and I can't really think how old it was, because he owned the cafe my whole childhood, but I was probably like 12, 13, and I remember thinking, oh, that's really cool. If I ever have, I mean, this is like years before I was married or anything. I remember thinking, if I ever had boys who were in a football team, and if I had my own business, I would love to do the sponsorship. So, and it was just a fleeting thing, and obviously completely forgot about that thought. And then, quite by surprise, my two boys got mad into football.
Yeah, it was quite sudden, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was quite sudden. They'd suddenly decided.
Yeah. I mean, it was over a couple of years. He just suddenly really grew, and then he suddenly had the confidence to try and be in a team.
I'm thinking it was Sonny that was involved and dragged Jose along.
Jose just got dragged along.
Yeah.
So I grew up in sports like sailing, tennis, basketball. I kicked a football around the park like you do with your mates. But so yeah, it definitely wasn't often boys get into football through their dads. That wasn't so much the case with me. So that was really interesting. So anyway, so I just thought that was a really cool, like full circle, random thing that kind of
you manifested anything.
Kind of manifested.
Yeah.
So who knows, the powers that be.
What do you know what it was that gripped your boys' attention in football? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never, until recently, since the boys been into it and been involved in the team, to me, you've never struck me as someone who's particularly into football. And then the boys got into it, and then obviously by proxy, you're then into it. But
yeah, exactly. I've definitely didn't grow up like yourself, like playing grassroots football, coaching, do that kind of thing. Always had a fondness for it, but my attention was other places, and so I think I just think it's really important to. I love that my boys have got interests, and I think it's really important to get their backs and be there for them. And so whatever it is, I want to be, as their dad, I want to be like their biggest cheerleader, their biggest advocate, their biggest fan. Which we all do.
I think they see that as well.
Yeah, and so that's so, and on top of that, it's for me, I love the community aspect of it. I love investing in people that I believe, like yourself, with your history. Sam and I have very similar history, lots of team sports, lots of backgrounds. I used to be a teacher working with young people, done a lot of youth works. speaking for Sam here, but qualified social worker working with young people in the past. So it's interesting, all the kind of synergies,
similar experiences in the
there as well. Yeah, and so I guess following on from that, my kind of question to you, being on the other side of it, is kind of how do you see the role of sponsorship and that kind of relationship, and how important it is, and what does it do? And hopefully, why should other people consider doing it however they can?
Yeah, I know when I took over the team, obviously the lad who left, his dad was the sponsor of that team, and when he left, obviously a few players left when the situation changed. It was new coach coming. Whatever the reasons for leaving are, that's totally up to them. I try not to take it too personally. These things happen, and I respect the decision. But one of those was a sponsor going, so I knew that my first thought was, I've got to recruit some new players, which is difficult because we're age 10. It's beginning of a season, and who's available, who's not playing, why not? And then you think, how the hell am I going to afford to run this team? So sponsorship and recruitment were the two first hurdles I had when I took over this team. And I obviously did a lot of due diligence. I went out and asked people, obviously Three Cuts, who are our other sponsor, Three Cuts Burger and Tap.
Three Cuts.
Been a regular member of their restaurant / burger van now for many years, and very touched. I actually asked them before you, because I knew them, and I thought, hey, I'll ask this local business, and it took a while to come back to us. But then you'd come in and I said, we got on really, really well. Your boys brought along, you were really invested, you were asking lots of questions. I think you were quite pleased with some of the boys we brought on, and the kind of the attitude of, we want these boys to enjoy football rather than bring on players that can play, which is kind of what our team's about. And I think we'll come on to that a bit later in the podcast about what sort of team we've got. And I don't remember why, but I just remember you saying to me, I'll sponsor you. And I was like, I remember laughing. I think, oh, yeah, cool, thanks. Yeah, great. Bless you. That's very kind. But you kept bringing it up. You kept saying, just let me know what you need. Let me know what you need. And I'm not very good at asking for help. I'm not very good at kind of accepting help sometimes, which again, this is why this has taught me a lot of things. But you brought it up a few times, and I was like, are you serious? Just have a chat. You were like, I wouldn't say it if I wasn't serious. And that kind of led on to more conversations we had to have. We went and had a beer together. You kind of talked about what you wanted to do, why you wanted to do it. And for me, it was that community aspect. You said, I've got an opportunity here that I can help people. I've got my own business, doing really well. I want to do something with the business for the local community. My two boys play for football team. It's kind of natural. So we kind of stemmed from that conversation. And to answer the second part of your question, we wouldn't be the team we are now without your sponsorship, without your investment. And that isn't just monetary. That's your empathy. That's your kind of, you've always been that kind of positive chipper in my ear saying, I believe in you, we got you. So as a sponsor, I've taken it as a business partnership as well, because you're a huge part of this team, helping me. You threw money at us. You bought these wonderful kits that you see around us now, with Three Cuts help as well. But you're the main sponsor. You put a lot of money into it, but your time as well, so important. So I think we had a conversation before we started the podcast. Get involved with your community. It can either cost you money or it can cost you time. You give us both, which is very, very valuable. But it's not difficult. If you've got the opportunity to help someone, and a little team like ours, it's gone a long, long way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's only the beginning for us, isn't it? We've got lots of things we want to do together. But just having that foundation of, we've got kits the kids can wear, they feel good, they look good, they're warm, and there's actually a coat you can't see, I should have worn it. We've got a rain jacket as well. All the stuff they need to enjoy the game. You bought us a sports bag for me to carry all the kit in. I could do without it. So to answer your question, it's hugely invaluable. It was a huge problem for me when I took over to think, what am I going to do? And it just natural partnerships growing from there, which is fantastic. But in terms of community, Fleur de Lis as a club have got lots of different teams, lots of different age groups, girls teams, boys teams, young men's teams, lots of, I think I said maybe 24 clubs, could be more, could be wrong, someone will correct me. But they all have some kind of sponsor, and they can't do without it.
Yeah.
Can't do without sponsorship. So yeah, if anyone's listening and thinks, or they're on the fence about, can I do something? It's huge for local teams, not just football. It could be basketball, or whatever sport you're into, whatever club you're into. I think it's hugely invaluable for local, small, grassroots teams.
Yeah, exactly. And just a big shout out for all the parents and adults who give their time to run sports teams, to run like scout groups, to run boys brigades, to run sailing clubs, to run fun. All these park runs, all these things that are out there that people give up their hearts and money. I think it's just recognition.
Yeah,
a shout out to all those people, and I think it's really good for everyone to just think, like you say, some people are not cash rich, they're time rich. Some people aren't even time rich, but they can maybe give an hour a week or something, I think. Yeah. And I think with these things, from my experience, what you get back is tenfold, isn't it? As far as what you get from community and friendships and satisfaction. I think that's really important to see it that way.
Even more so if your loved ones are involved in the environment.
Yeah.
Kids in our respect, but could be people you know, friends, loved ones, whatever. If you're helping something that helps people that you're close to, that reward is seeing them enjoy it. And going back to time, our parents as well, we should say to our parents that even just getting the kids in the car on a rainy Sunday morning. We've had lots of rainy Sunday mornings recently. Getting the kids out of the car. Sometimes you've got to motivate the kids. Be the cheerleaders on the sidelines.
Running the line.
Yeah, we've got parents that run the line for us. We've got parents that will offer to referee. We've got parents that will, if I'm on my own on a Sunday, will throw a ball at the goalkeeper and give us a handout. I should mention I do have 2 assistant coaches who are fantastic. So Marcus and Rob, both busy guys. Their job is insane. Marcus is always travelling. Rob works the most insane hours I've ever known in my life. How he turns up with his eyes open, sometimes I don't know. But even if they're not there, we've got a WhatsApp group. I'll send them my team sheet. I'll send them my issues. I'll say we're having this problem. What do you want to do? I'll involve them, and they'll back me. And from the moment we started, it's a case of like, guys, this is how I want to run the team. I think we'll come on to that in a bit. This is the kind of foundations of how I want to do it. And they were like, yeah, we're behind you.
It's that community thing. I mean, I remember that one game we played down in Milton where it was like sideways rain and brutal.
Kids were crying.
Like, I think most of the boys were crying at the end, and yet they had thank God they had like a little like porta cabin with like coffee and stuff in there. But like even I was trying to sort one boy out who's crying, and then Paul, one of the other Jack's dad, was like getting towels out and he was helping my boys dry their hair, and like all the parents are sponsors basically, what they give and what they do.
Those are the things that as a coach you probably don't see obviously, but it's things I do see. Like I can't get my son to training, can someone help? I'll pick him up. Where's your address? I'll get him on the way.
Normally like 3 or 4 offers.
Usually I'll bring the kid home. I've done it. I've picked the kids up for tournaments. Other parents will pick up the kids. We've got parents now that are offering to host our we're going to do a Euros game, England versus Denmark. One of our parents like, we'll have everyone for barbecue. They understand that money and time from the coaches goes into it, and if they can give something back, they do. And our parents are really good like that. I think they understand
So talk to me about building a team. So we got you're suddenly coaching this team. You lose. The team's been established and was performing well at one point.
Yeah.
And then for different reasons, people, everything changes, and some people decide to move on.
Yeah.
Fine. What's been interesting for me watching you grow this team is kind of similarities here. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but certainly here at Global Fire, we've been going since 2008, and we've not. When it comes to building the team, we generally choose people first before skill set. There needs to be some ability there, or the potential for the ability, but we really invest in people to the point that some people it's taken a while to even find where they fit.
Yeah.
And so I found that I've seen a lot of synergy and interest in how you've built the team. So I'm really kind of keen to kind of get in your head as to your approach, what the challenges have been.
So you're right. The team that was established for a long time, they were playing in the top division. Phil had got them winning games as a matter of weekly regularity. Really well embedded team, and it ticked really nicely. And when new coach, whatever the reasons for these kids leaving, I think we lost 5 very good quality kids, very good as in ability, skill wise, very very good lads, which added to the fact that we were going from 6-a-side to 9-a-side. So I think we had maybe 10 players total, 5 left. So I didn't have enough to field last season's team. So I knew that we needed to have sort of 12 kids minimum to manage a 9v9 Sunday requirement. So that was a big challenge. And as I said at the beginning, earlier in the podcast, these kids, we're looking for 10-year-old kids, 9 or 10-year-old kids. At the end of a season, when everyone's kind of with their teams, quite hard to find kids. We put out messages on Facebook, and we did the usual where can we find these kids, and we held a couple of open sessions, quite a few weeks actually, and we had 3 or 4 kids.
And is that because most boys at that point who are into it are in a good team by then. Is that what it is?
There's not many boys out there like your boys who suddenly at the age of 10 went, I want to play football. Quite rare. And we came across a few lads who turned up, and so to describe the team, we had a domino effect of a few boys turned up, then a few more turned up, then a couple left, wasn't for them, or they weren't, didn't have the right attitude. As you know, we've turned a couple of kids and parents away who didn't fit our model,
right?
And our model, good players, but with parents that didn't fit our model. And I probably should backtrack a bit. The model that I wanted to set a team when I sat down with my coach at the beginning said, the foundation of this team is they are kids first. Whatever happens, they are 10-year-old, 11-year-old boys who are just here to enjoy football. And I know, and you guys will totally know, that sport is your escape. Everybody's got their own things going on. 10-year-old kids stresses, whatever their life may have at home or at school. When they're with us, I want them to forget about everything, just play football. So that was really key to us, that we had kids with a good attitude.
That anchor every week that it might be a crap week, but I'm going to go play with my team and have a good time.
You want kids to be. You remember when you were, weekend was coming, I've got a game of basketball, I've got a game of rugby. It makes your week seem quicker, and that's what football does for these boys. So we had that situation where that's the key foundation of this team. They got to enjoy it, but you need to be able to play in order to. So we had this toss up between, we want good kids, nice kids, kids who are going to listen, kids who are coachable, really, really important. And we've looking at the squad we've got now, we've got kids that fit that category, absolutely. And we've got a mix of skill and ability. Now, someone like, I can't remember. Personality, background, skill. But somebody, I can't remember who it was, but someone said that it might be one of the committee groups of football fleurs, said kids are like popcorn. They pop at different times. Such a good analogy, because as you've seen the last 7 or 8 months, they just, they've got it.
Yeah.
We've got some kids who, when they first turned up 7 months ago, and this is with all due respect, couldn't control a ball.
Sure.
Couldn't really couldn't play a pass the ball, didn't really understand the game, but they were just good kids. You look at them and think, this kid turns up every week in the pouring rain. He wants to play football. I can work with this kid. And those kids, and all the way through, looking at the kids now, they won their first game 2 weeks ago. Unbelievable scenes.
Amazing.
It was so hard for that. But
and I wasn't there.
He wasn't there. I know. We promised the kids. We said, look, if you win your first game, we take you to McDonald's, and they won their first game on Mother's Day. We're like, we're not taking them to McDonald's. You're going to get us lynched. But the development of these kids over that time has been so interesting, because the hardest thing I find in this job, in this volunteer role, is every week when the kids lose, and I'm telling you, they were losing 14-0, 12-2, 8-1
in the rain, in
the poor conditions. Getting to know each other, very difficult. But as a coach, you're saying to these kids, look, we've been trained twice a week. I promise you're developing. That was fantastic. You did really well there. This was incredible. This is learning. This is coming together. But 10-year-old kids just look at the score and go, that's not, is it? So the hardest part is trying to get these kids to continue on that path. And I knew they had it in them. We've seen it. And you've seen it. Some of the kids that are just the way they've improved.
And they've all stuck with it.
They've stuck with it. And that win wasn't so much it wasn't as a coach going, hey, we done it. It was the kids finally realizing, geez, that was a hard slog, but look what we've done. It was actually an unbelievable moment, because we've had lots of Sundays where the kids have gone home crying, and they go to school on a Monday and all their mates are, we won again, we lost, and all that stuff. But this was the first time they're 3-2 and they pushed it to the end, and it was just amazing. It's actually one of the best feelings I've ever had, watching these kids like cry for joy rather than cry because they've lost.
And they've earned it. And you've earned it.
The frustrating thing now, we're sat here now, we haven't played for 2 weeks, so we haven't been able to extend on that feeling. But going back to your original comment about the development in relation to your team, is different personalities, different qualities, different stature, different backgrounds, different family life, whatever those reasons are. We've now got a really good team. All the kids depend on each other. They look after each other. It's just, I've had games where we've gone to a football tournament and someone's been a bit heavy on one of our boys, and another kid's gone in. A kid that you wouldn't necessarily expect to do that. He's gone in, hey, leave my friend. Those are the things that make a team, and you guys probably have that here. You back each other up. You pick each other up off the floor, and that's where we're at now. And that's the reward. I don't get paid to do this, but the reward is I've got 17 kids. 15 of them are signed. 2 of them are just come along because they want to grow and develop. And
just to commend you, what from the outside, what I've seen, which I've loved, is a few things. One, you've taken on boys that other teams rejected.
That's true. Yeah, we've had boys come to us who said, we've been around the blocks and nobody wants my kid.
No one wants me, And I'm not knocking every team's entitled to run it how they want to run it. But I love the way that our team runs it. It's different, and that's really powerful. Like you were saying earlier, you were saying earlier about different like coaches, PE teachers, people who really got your back and inspired you and made that moment. And I don't think we can underestimate like just you doing that for some of those boys is going to stay with them, for their whole life. It really is, like the first time that somebody's being accepted for the first time, where especially when you've been rejected a few times, that's a big deal. Like that's like done. Like we've won already. We've won the league. Do you know what I mean? When you've done that, and then you've also taken on boys that weren't ready, but you've worked with them. Maybe it's just been training for a while before they play a match. You've let them even play the odd match just to get them some experience. Yeah. And then the final thing is that we've even got a couple of boys, because of different personal situations, didn't have much of a social setup, so they just needed somewhere to go. Yeah. And those boys have been welcomed as well. And whether they play in the team eventually, who knows? But I think those are all things that they're all things that make me feel good to be part of it.
Yeah, you've seen the messages from particularly some of the newer parents who've just said, I think they used the word inclusive quite a lot, and that's probably how I would describe our team. Parents are included in the decision making. They get to offer decisions and answers to stuff. I try and involve them as much as possible, but there's kids that come from clubs where they were treated very badly by kids and by coaches, and they've come here and they feel like it's an escape and they've got something to enjoy. And that's really important to me, that kids come to our team, they go, oh, come play for Fleur de Lys Nelson, because everyone's welcome. And they are. We've got a really good setup of kids now. Like I said, 15 kids who are signed, 2 lads who come along who just need a bit of encouragement, need a bit of social interaction. Parents and carers who just think, I need to get them out of the house doing something. Yeah, come along, have a kick about. And actually they're improving as well. So it's not like they're inhibiting training. They're getting involved, and I can maneuver around them as much as possible, but they're developing as well and they're enjoying it. And we start to see now the boys have really welcomed them as if they're part of the team.
Yeah, fantastic. And there is I've been listening a lot to this background and history, but there's lots of things that are really standing out and correlations to what we try to do at Global Fire. But in terms of the that belonging that you say there, I mean, ultimately as human beings, we all need to belong to something, whether that's tribe, whether that's a team, a group of people. And if you haven't got that, we see the impact of that. I mean, you're talking about supporting people with additional needs, for example, education, employment, training, people who aren't out of it. If they haven't got something to belong to, we can see how that impacts mental health, physical health, and all sorts. And the involvement, the sponsorship, and whether that's monetary, whether that's time. The impact of that, I think, is quite tangible, because you see kits, you see that those things happen quite quickly. You see games happening, but the bit that isn't necessarily tangible is the impact on the kids in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years that, you guys who are involved in the team may never see. But we know as people who have been a part of a team and have found our tribes when we were teens or whatever, there's things I think about now that impacted my life when I was 12 playing for a team, or when I first joined a team at 10, and things that I've taken into adult life because I was part of a rugby team growing up. And
and I bet everyone listening now is literally thinking of somebody. I mean, I'm thinking of my old PE teacher, Mr. Cook. I don't know if he's around anymore, but I'm thinking Mr. Cook, who used to stay behind after school and help me with stuff, particularly not even PE. He's a PE teacher just to help me out with some of my math stuff. He'd give me kind of a positive reinforcement of stuff. He'd always ask how I was. I remember him vividly, and everyone listening now would think, "Oh yeah, I remember so and so, a teacher or whatever." So it's so important. I hope that'd be such a nice feeling if in 10 years' time I walk through the shops and see one of the boys. My old coach. That's what we do it for.
I'm sure you will do, from everything you're saying and what you're trying to do. Not even sure you will do. I know you will do. Ross very briefly mentioned. My background and training was in social work, and I worked with young offenders, with kind of probation for a long time, and then maybe 10 years or so after working with this particular kid, I was walking in Portsea in Portsmouth, where we're all close to, and this kid who's now 10 years older, and he's a man, he's working, he's got his own family. He's like, Sam, and I didn't recognise him at first because he's 10 years older.
First instinct was right,
and just kind of chatting, and I was like, what are you doing now? And I was like, I think he was at college or university doing child development. I was like, why are you doing that? Because I was like, that's not something I would imagine you doing it. And he was like, I want to be a youth worker like you. And it's, that impact.
You smile the rest of the day, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've all got families to raise and mortgages to pay. And we want to have jobs that will cover that well. But I know that when we're all retired and sit in our armchairs, that's not the stuff we're going to be glad about. You know what I mean? Like it's the human connections and the things where that's the stuff we're going to look back on and think that was worth it. You know.
I never thought about Little Club as a tribe, but that's quite a powerful comment. Yeah. So there's kids there that feel part of something, whether it's just wearing a kit or it's quite powerful actually. To think that we're offering someone an opportunity to be part of something that's hopefully going to affect them forever. Yeah, I suppose you don't always think about that from the day to day.
Which is hearing that. Sonny was able to get to the point where he could join the team is really exciting, because it's like knowing Sonny relatively well and seeing him, always got a football in his hand, always got his football kit on. I know when you said he was
I get pictures from him all. So you send pictures, and Sonny's got his kit on. When he got his new Chelsea kit, he went and got his squad number for Fleurs. And it's like, show Adam that. It's just like brilliant.
Amazing.
He's taken that into his real life, which is they're good kids as well. I mean, all of them. You think every kid we've got. As a coach, I've had to deal with a few things behind the scenes. You've had to kind of give the kids a couple of life lessons, but all really good kids. And I say to them all the time, you wouldn't be in this team if I didn't want you here. Because sometimes they have confidence issues and they come to me, I'm not good enough, or someone says I'm not good enough, and it doesn't matter. I wouldn't invite you every Saturday, every Tuesday if I didn't think you were right for this team.
It's not the right time to do it, but we could go for each one of them and just list tens of great things about all of them. Really
maybe do it separately. At the end of the season, maybe I'll probably do that. I'll say to 17 kids, and here's what you guys all brought to the team.
It'd be powerful.
Yeah, we're going to do an award ceremony, which I think is powerful. I've got some really cool,
amazing,
some really cool awards that
that'd be great.
Kind of aren't your generic top goal scorer.
Yeah, amazing.
Kind of a lot of awards that are kind of, we're trying to pick out the kids' personalities. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
You know what, I think you definitely should do that. And the reason I say that is we did something, ironically, very similar to that at our team away day back in January. We did a session essentially on on gratitude and kudos.
I know you say that's a great idea.
Yeah, which was we intended that section of this away day to be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It took up pretty much the whole session. And actually there's been comments from a number of people in the team who've been like, I needed that, or that was amazing, or enjoyed that, or and being able to give, I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning, but shout out to Sarah. Sarah and our team went around every single member of the team with a very kind of detailed analysis of, this is why I appreciate you, this is why and I think for her, that is, she said that's how she shows love. So being able to do that was really powerful. I think you guys should definitely do that, because I think a lot of the kids would appreciate it. And
I think as adults we forget that we need that as well. You saw mental health earlier. Everyone, particularly guys, sometimes need that little bit of reinforcement that you do in the world. But I think everybody as an adult should have that positive reinforcement. It's important.
It'd be really, we can cut this out of the video if it's appropriate, but it'd be really interesting to even do like peer-to-peer. But I would love to see the boys will say something about each player that they like. I think
we could maybe just off air when we finish, maybe add to the award ceremony, because you guys are going to host it for us here, aren't you? Which is going to be amazing. I think we should do a gratitude piece. Let's do a gratitude piece, because the award ceremony for me, that was me kind of giving gratitude back. I've set up a couple of awards that are named after the ex-coach. I've got a couple of awards named after some of the one of the siblings in the team, kind of reinforcing some of the personalities. And it's really important that the kids at the end of the season don't get awards because they scored the most goals or they're the best skillful player. It's not just about that in this team. I want kids to recognise that we value you because you bring A, B and C. So maybe do the gratitude piece, maybe get the boys to be involved. That's quite interesting. Sorry, I'm just going off piece here, but I'm just
that's great.
I love that.
Note taking.
It's great. And that's just to be involved in, like I say, when we're making a very conscious decision with Global Fire Creative. We've been going for a while now. We're not been around forever, but we kind of passed
15 years in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been very interesting for us, because most companies who do, I was about to say do what we do, but most companies in general kind of build up local and then expand, and it just by happenstance just kind of happens that a lot of our initial clients were actually like larger kind of London companies and whatever. Which was great and exciting, and it got us off to a great start. But it meant that we probably kind of neglected the local thing for a long time. We're all based down here. We all live on the south coast, but we'd be getting up at 5 a.m. and working for Vodafone or Amazon and do all this stuff. And we've got great friends there who we'll continue to work with, but not a lot of people down here knew we were even here. And what we did. And so, it's not really, we're so relational with all of our clients that we didn't want to just even the branding for us is not really about sales, or I don't imagine any direct work will come from it. It's not what we did it for, but it's just people knowing that we're here, that we care about our community, we want to invest in the community. Although interestingly, Sarah, one of our producers here, she was we were having a producer meeting the other day, and she said she was on the phone to one of our friends, and her friend said, Global Fire started doing merch. She's like, no, what do you mean? She was like, I was in the supermarket the other day and I saw a boy walking around with a Global Fire Creative jacket on, which must have been a Fleur de Lis coat.
Nice.
With the branding on after training, or who knows. So it's funny, isn't it, that don't even imagine these things, but that
all 17 boys on a Saturday morning, get yourself down to the local supermarket. Start pushing out.
Do some marketing for us.
Summer's coming, get the kids out there in their kit. That's really cool.
With rugby teams, so hang around outside there, the branding on.
There's plenty. What you're saying, the rugby teams are around. They've got really good rugby clubs in local areas. This is that is a kind of a start for you to kind of reach out to the community first of all with the football team, and then see where it goes from there. You made a hell of a start, I think.
It's been great to be involved. What is we've kind of talked about it loosely, but what would you say has been the kind of the highs and the lows of this kind of this kind of first season, and then following on, what's your hope for the future?
Let's do the lows first, because there's definitely less of those than the highs. I think the lows for me is I'm very self-critical, and there has been times when I've gone, I'm not the right person for this. The kids aren't winning, it must be me. And I'm kind of very self-critical. I've got a brilliant wife who tells me to shut up quite a lot. You've been really good, as my colour said, angel on my shoulder saying, no, you got this, you'll be fine. And main thing is one of the highs is Bo. I was worried that taking over a team and being his coach as well as his dad might impact our relationship. And actually it's gone the opposite way. We've got a real much tighter bond, and me and Bo are tight anyway, but we've got a real tight bond. It's helped with Austin getting involved. My youngest, he gets involved with the coaching. He wants to come and be part of Fleurs. I gave him a little Fleurs coach. He's my positivity coach, as I call him.
Austin's part of the team, no doubt.
Part of the team, and he gets involved. Sometimes he's a bit tired because I do forget he's there sometimes because I'm in the zone, but he loves it. So it's been actually a really good way of really bonding us, which has been a huge high because I was a bit worried about it. So the highs really of just, for me, watching those boys, each individual, because they've got, them all well, they've got very individual needs, very individual abilities, very individual kind of responses to stuff. And I've had to adapt really, really hard for each one. But I've kind of got a point now where I know where they're all at. I know I can read them a bit, which I think is now helping my coaching. It's now helping them develop because I can work out how they're feeling, what they mean when they say something, what they want to hear from me.
Their emotion.
Their emotions. It's just, so for me, it's a high. I feel like we've bonded really, really well, and I know the kids inside out, because going back to your third part of the question is, where do we go from here now? I think I can know the kids now, and where we're going is really great. But the highs have just been quite a lot of the camaraderie. I think is the most important thing. So about half an hour we was talking about how kids need to be part of a tribe. We've done some amazing things. We've taken them to New Forest. We took them for kayaking and laser quest, which was an absolute blast, pardon the pun. Absolutely brilliant. And they still talk about it now. That was like a huge stepping stone. Amazing. Right, before we get involved with the football, let's get his kids in the mud, in the rain, and let's go and do some crazy stuff.
Outdoor days was a
revelation. It was so, honestly, we should go again. So
I always
good.
hated it because the smell of cheesy feed, whatever. Doing out in the woods is fun.
Shout out to New Forest activities if you've not been there, they're fantastic. So that was kind of a starting point, and then we've done. We did a Christmas do at Red Spider Climbing in Fareham.
Amazing.
Fantastic facility.
Really fun,
The kids just went nuts for 2 hours. Again, added to their bond. We've had a party for one of the boys. He invited the whole team to his secret party, and the kids were involved in hiding and said hello to him when he got there. It was fantastic. We've had lots of really fun things. We've taken the kids to McDonald's. Ross has taken us to Pompey to watch a game. Nice. Took all the boys to the family section. I think we're in the news as well, weren't we? The kids cheering. Got to see Pompey demolish Gillingham 5-1, if I remember. And that was actually my first ever Pompey game as well. So we did lots of stuff with the kids. Really good game. Took a lot of inspiration from that. Very quick football. But no, we've done so much stuff that I think for me it's just how, if we go back to the first training session, I was like, what's going on with this? I've got like 5 kids that want to leave, unhappy. Who are these kids? Who am I going to recruit? It was stressful. To where we are now, that's a huge high in itself. Probably relates to you guys as well as a business 15 years down the line.
I was relatively new to the party, but I remember the day it kind of imploded, and it didn't implode, but it looked, and I just remember your face and you being like,
that was probably the week when I had a chat with 3 parents at once, and they went,
we're leaving. And I was, and you were like, I don't know if we could do this. You know, like it was.
Yeah.
That was a real emotion for a minute, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit like, we had a conversation and you were like, what's up? I was like, nothing. You're like, you sure? Because you can see me chat to these 3 parents. I was like, I just lost another 3. And I think that put us down to like 8 kids. And we got filled 9. So I was a little bit stressed. But like I said, the high is look where we are now. Got a brilliant team. You know, we've got enough players every Sunday. They all seem pretty invested. I think they're all pretty keen to get the summer out of the way and get on tournaments and get into next season. So
next season exciting. I think that just speaks to a lot of the resilience that you need to do these kind of things as well, because you will get those days, those weeks, those setbacks. And I've definitely learnt here that you just get your head down, do what you can, because you just can't fix everything instantly. You can't suddenly have, 10 kind of like the next Messi's on your team or whatever it is. It's just not going to happen.
No.
But just get your head down and do what you can, and you will move forward.
I think it goes back to that tribe thing. I think I probably should mention that resilience is key. I'm quite a resilient guy. I've got thick skin, but also got really good people around me, and that's probably another high. I've learned that there are actually really good people around me that maybe I took for granted before. So Phil, who was the ex-coach, is a good friend of mine. There's been times when I picked up the phone to him and gone, dude, what is this about? He's like, that's part of it, mate. It's going to happen. Don't let it bother you. You'll get through it. And sometimes I'd bounce ideas off him. I'm like, think about doing this. He'd be like, knowing your parent group, I wouldn't do that yet. Maybe wait. So he's been really good to kind of bounce ideas off, because he's come from it.
Phil's son's still on the team.
Yeah.
And Phil's still around, and we'll ref a game or run the line. He's still around and a great support.
He's in that transition. Must have been quite hard for him. I know it probably was at the beginning to suddenly go from the guy in the middle to having to watch. And we've had conversations. We've had conversations where he was like, "Oh, you're doing it a little bit different to I did, but with different people." And we kind of got through that. So kudos to him, because it didn't affect our friendship. It's been brilliant. So he's been a real good networking point. I mentioned Kerry, who said, "I'll put my hand up to the finances for you." Rob and Marcus, my assistant coaches.
Let's talk about Rob and Marcus quickly, because I think it's good to give us a recognition. As to how they've both been around for a while as well.
Rob and Marcus both were there with Phil
there you go.
for the longevity of his tenure as well. So for them it was a change. And asking them to still give the same effort they do for Phil has been brilliant. And I think they've probably found me a little bit different to work with, hopefully in a good way. But they're still around. Like I said, I mentioned it earlier, they're both really, really busy guys. Mad hours. Marcus is always traveling, but when they're there, it just gives you that extra resource. And they're always on the end of a phone. Or someone's, I'll have a wobble, or I'll have an issue. Like, God, this is what I'm starting thinking of doing. What do you think? And they'll go, yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah, you tell them. And I'm okay, I will. And I've got that support around me. My wife's been brilliant. She worries about me sometimes because, talking about mental health and stuff, I don't want to be kind of putting myself under too much pressure. And she knows that sometimes I can have my down days, but she's been really great, kind of saying to me, sometimes she'll say to me, just let Rob Marcus take a session. Don't go tonight. You're not feeling well. I'm like, I want to. So we have that support as well. The parents have been brilliant. I get lots of nice messages from the parents, mostly saying, thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for helping my son. This is really helpful. Anything I can do to help you. I think you take community for granted, but when you're in the thick of it, particularly in the football team, you kind of take that for granted. And you look, if I stop like now and reflecting now, thinking, do you know what? I've got really good people actually, and that extends to Fleur de Lis, the club as well. Totally. Alan, who's the coach and manager of the equivalent of us, or our sister team, under 11 Victory. He's been brilliant, always asking me how things are going. Amount of times I've messaged him saying, mate, we got absolutely smashed again. He's like, don't worry, it'll come. The committee at Fleur de Lis have been really supportive, probably more patient with me than that I care to admit. Lots of questions, and I'm a little bit defiant sometimes. I like to break the status quo, and I'll play devil's advocate sometimes. I ask questions. I like to know why, so I'm always asking questions. They might have found me a little bit difficult, but there's some really good guys at the club who've just said, stick with it. We're so happy you're taking on this team. The boys can do without you. And those little messages sometimes when you have your days. So you guys already look at your team thinking, like, Sarah sounds great. Sarah can sit at the table and point to you guys and go, right, you're great at this. I thank you for that. I think we take it for granted. So anyone who's listening to this, who's grateful for somebody in their work or their life, just tell them. Even if you have to stick it in a card or something, it's really important. So if I take time to reflect, that's another high. Really good people in my life.
And reflecting on that is really key, isn't it? Because when you listening to that, I'm kind of thinking about how that correlates to what we're doing. You know, those 3 players that left all on the same day, and ultimately the 5 that left all together. Like that song lyric, you can't please all the people all the time. But I think you can put everything in place to support those people. You know, incentivize them staying. But ultimately, if someone's not happy and they don't want to be there, then you know, cut them loose. You know, it's because ultimately it's not going to be beneficial for anyone if they stay.
And people
with
do
that attitude,
them, won't they?
Relating that to you know, to business. I'm pleased to say not within Global Fire in a very previous kind of role capacity. I you know, I had a situation where everyone in the team, and it was quite a large team, seemed unhappy because of changes that came in, and I felt like the fall guy. You know, it was kind of like, cool, you're going to deal with all of that now and make all these people redundant and whatever else. And I was like, cool, like who's going to back me up? And all of a sudden, like everyone's got like, where's the support? And when you haven't got the support, the impact on the mental health and everything else. Whereas, you know, like with, you know, the situation, we might not necessarily recognize it at the time, but reflecting back and seeing those people who gave us the encouraging word or who stepped in to help coach the session when you weren't feeling well is powerful stuff. And, you know, I'm pleased that we have that here. I think, you know, I feel like, and I hope everyone at Global Fire feels like we have each other's backs, because without that, what's the point in doing any of it? It's, if you're out on your own and just kind of wading through the weeds, it's pointless.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time at work as well, so it's really important to get the right people around you, and
you spend a lot of time doing voluntary stuff as well, like coaching teams and whatever else. So I think it's my little anecdote, but I always say I genuinely, not to be down on this job, but I genuinely prefer be a road sweeper with a bunch of great guys than have an awesome job with a bunch of jerks. Do you know what I mean? It's just.
I think we all would. I think that clarity comes with age. I think. I think we've got families, we've got kids. We know what's important to us. I think people will do what's important for them at the time. And if that is working for lots of money and busting your ass until you're too tired doing anything, then we've all done that. I did that in my 20s for sure, which is why I'm very grateful now for a bit of time for myself and for the kids. And volunteer, it does take up a lot of time, but I do it because I enjoy it, and it becomes part of my weekly routine, I guess, which keeps me busy, which keeps me active, which keeps me from sitting around doing nothing, I guess, which I'm not very good at.
Yeah. And what my only last kind of question really is, being obviously you've done this in different capacities, but being almost a season in now with this kind of new role, what's your kind of like main take homes, or what would be your main advice to, you know, Dave in Northampton who's thinking about doing the same thing? You know, what's your main kind of take homes or advice to yourself and others?
I think the answer is probably simple. If Dave in Rotherham has got the opportunity to coach a team, he's obviously passionate about it. Just do it. Because you look back at, and I think my dad always says it's never as difficult as you think it is. It's never as difficult. We always have worst enemies. We always, oh God, it's going to be horrendous. And actually, you look back and think it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I think just got to do it. I'm quite an impulsive person, so I would always say I always jump in with 2 feet.
Sure.
So yeah, give it a crack. And I think, like I've done, I think you'll get a lot more out of it than you think you will. Because people listening will think, oh, it's a lot of time and effort. It is, but I haven't done it for nothing. There is lots of things I get out of it.
Yeah.
So if you're on the fence now thinking, I'd love to help, just give it a crack. I think you'll surprise yourself with what you can do, and you'll surprise yourself with the people that you meet. You know, I'm sitting here in front of you guys now, having a great time. This is really, and this is just a start. I think we've got lots of exciting things to do together, and that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have said, yeah, let's give it a crack.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think the other take home for me, having been involved, is that I've seen grow in you, is do it, but ask for help. You know what I mean? Like,
I've learned that along the way.
Like the early days, I was like, just sponsorship, and then you know, we've got you've got an amazing coaching team, but not everyone's always around.
Yeah.
So there's a few times I was like, there's other dads who can help.
Yeah, wink, wink. That's a nudge.
But others, you know, Lee and Paul and Sam, there's loads of people who will help in whatever way they can.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's, you know, I think that's something, and it's ironic because it's probably one of the biggest, me saying that is ironic and saying it to myself really, because it's one of the biggest things that I've had to work on in my life. So I just try and manifest it outwardly as well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, that comes out to learning skills. So going back to what the kids have learned, it's quite interesting that I'm learning stuff about myself as well. I've learned to be more organised. which my wife would never think would happen. Here I am managing my diary, got this Spond app with stuff. I organise sessions, I'm organising outings, days out, putting together all the itinerary for football tournaments, etc. You know, I would never have done that. You know, my boss is probably sat thinking, I can't do that at work. but that's, I've learned a lot, and asking for help is I don't think it's a self-pride thing. I think it's just, I don't even think it's control freak. I think sometimes it's just a case of maybe I don't trust people to do it the same way I can, but actually it's not that important.
I think it's that. I think it's
sometimes just getting your head down. I'm not very good at asking for help, but it's because I just need to get this done. And you don't necessarily think, you know, in the peripherals, do you?
It's that. It's just being a bit of a crap bloke, isn't it? It's a bloke thing. It's a British thing. It's probably the way our dads were. Do you know what I mean? It's just all of those. It's all of that, isn't it?
Yeah. But ask for help. And I suppose but Ross mentioned about 18 times. So if someone here is mentioning something 3 or 4 times, just say yes, because they obviously want to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why you're now a coach helper, because you said a few times, Rob Marcus on here, I'll help. Yeah, thanks, I'll be fine. Adam, I'll help. Fine. Go and get DBS and safeguarding done. Here's the link. Thank you very much. And now, you took a session over on Tuesday, didn't you? Which is great. So really helpful. And the kids get the benefit from it as well, because it means we're not cancelling any sessions.
Yeah,
which is important.
Well, I think for me, I just hats off to you, mate, for doing it. We're Globify. We're just we're really proud and pleased to play our part in it, and we want to continue to do so. And I would love to do a part 2 of this next season and kind of see where we are, see where the journey is, and
maybe invite some of the boys along, get their perspective.
Yeah, why not?
That'd be really cool, wouldn't it?
Maybe,
get Jose and Bo to come along and give their perspectives. Yeah, we'll go out of the room for a minute and
let's do that. Yeah, I think that'd be really fun. So I love that. We're going to do the awards thing here, so we'll grab some shots and clips of that, which we can share on socials. We're also planning to do now it's been a bit of a journey to get all of the kit, but we're going to do a photo shoot and video with all the boys, so there'll be a site and socials to share with everyone to track the kind of progress of what's going on.
But for me, just thank you as well, because like I said at the beginning, we couldn't have got off the ground without your help. And I think what we've got planned for the summer and the season coming, you've got some things, you're not telling me everything that's going on, which is there's some things you'll do behind the scenes which are going to impact the team, which is fantastic. But thank you very much for all your help and your support and just your positivity. And I've learned a lot about global media just kind of working with you, and you seem like a great bunch of guys. So good to meet you as well, Sam. And I've met Hannah and Kana, and I'm sure I'll meet Sarah at some point.
Yeah, she's actually here in another building, so you can say hi over for you. Great. Sarah's going to be doing the photos for the lads. So.
Okay, bro. So and she did Sam's makeup, right?
Yeah,
my makeup. Every morning, 9:15.
We already have Sarah, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah, I can't even grow a beard. It's
painted.
Morning,
That's good. It's good.
So thanks for coming, mate.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Cheers, man.